What do I tell my black children who are black? What do I tell them? Instead of me sitting down talking to them about the birds and the bees, I had to talk to them about violence and securing themselves against the racism and sexism here in Chicago and across the nation. What color is the violence? What color is freedom? I am asking you what we want to do. We want to leave here. We want to organize. We want to register to vote. We want you to go back to your communities and organize. We need to educate and elevate the minds of our people. In the words of Dr. King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
I pray that it will cause us to draw the line and say we will not tolerate killing of black and brown children, whether it's in Stanford, Florida, the backwoods of Mississippi, Englewood, Auburn Gresham, Lawndale, Roseland, or Little Village. The genocide is over, starting today. Finally, I pray today we will continue to be bold and courageous, and we have built a resilient army, that we stand our ground against proliferation and easy access to guns. Stand our ground against injustice wherever it rises its ugly head, whether it's in government, whether it's in the marketplace, the boardroom, the workplace, or the church house, wherever it raises its head. I pray we'll stand our ground against racism and racial profiling. Stand our ground against laws that legitimize violence.
It's not just Trayvon in Sanford. Last year, 57 shootings by police in Chicago, 93% black or brown. The judicial system has collapsed on us. We're cut and we're bleeding, and we don't like it. They cut jobs, so we stand our ground. They're cutting teachers. We must stand our ground. They're closing schools. We must close our ground. They're cutting public housing. We must stand our ground. They're foreclosing houses. We must stand our ground. They're closing post offices. We must stand our ground. They're cutting lending by the banks and trauma care. We must stand our ground. All of these things are cutting our lives, and so we the people must stand up and fight back. Jails are making a profit on us. The UN Commission and the whole world must look at this, not just justice in Washington. The UN Commission, the whole world must see the human rights predicament of black Americans. There are more blacks in jail in America than in the nation, in the whole world. 2.5 million Americans in prison, more than half African American. This is a global human rights fight. We cannot stop in Washington. Take our case to the UN. The whole world must watch us fight back for global justice.
We need to know the masses are behind us as we're trying to pass legislation, as we're trying to send resources back to the programs trying to stop the violence. So we need you just as much as you need us. And we cannot forget. We cannot forget Trayvon Martin, but we also cannot forget all our young people dying now. We are losing a generation of young people, the young people that are going to take our place. So we need to stand up for that. And last but not least, you have got to exercise your right to vote. I was just in a meeting, and 66% of the African Americans that could have voted in the last election voted. That's good, but that's not good enough. 64% of whites that could have voted in the last election voted. That's good, but that's not good enough. If you don't want these laws, we need to look at who we're putting in these offices from the ground up. It's not just about who's the president. It's about who's the mayor,